So today I'm going to be going into a full LinkedIn automation system, which was inspired by Simon Scrapes, who runs a pretty amazing AI automation channel with n8n and mainly Airtable. And so this is taking what he's done and bringing it a step further so that it can be used on scale. So that in theory, if set up in the right way, you could automate LinkedIn completely. And you could probably also do this with Instagram as well, based upon what Unipile works with. Obviously, there are some restrictions based upon how humans behave, act. And so that's how you have to set up this so that it doesn't create problems. The initial one, which is actually built off Simon's lead generation system. And I've taken just the bottom part of it, which is just connecting to people, simply because I will get leads sent to me anyway, and I'll have lead lists of thousands and thousands, 5,000, 10,000, and so on and so forth. And so I wanted to see if I could utilize the system on that scale while making sure that it doesn't break anything. Previously, I was using Phantom Buster, which was doing an okay job. However, it became quite costly. Once it started getting above 1,000 leads, it would slow down the system quite a bit, and you'd have to go in and manually reduce the list and edit things and change things, which is not great, because if someone connects like a week later and you just edited the list and removed them, then they're no longer going to be there. While this doesn't really have that issue, but there have been some things that I've had to add because of that. So the first improvement that I made is this additional pending line. Now, I've kept it separate. So there's one for pending and there's one for checked. And the reason is, if you're going to be sending out 10 to 20 potentially invitations per day, if you've got the premium subscription, you'll be doing this, then you will need to be checking the pending ones more often. This is because if you're checking them both and you've got a lead list of 1,000 people, it's going to be potentially pulling through just the return not checked, and then not checking the people that you've actually invited to the list. So I can show you an example here. And so here is the lead list, and you can see that it's got, here are the ones currently on pending, here are the ones unconnected, these are the ones that are going to be sent, and these are all the ones that are not connected currently. And then these are all the ones that are not checked. So there's quite a lot still not checked. And you want to make sure that both the ones that are on pending, the ones that are on not checked, are all getting looked at on a daily basis, pretty much. Again, I've limited how many people go through, kept this the same. And then the only difference up here compared to the not checked line is I've added a let's see option. And the reason I've done this is because I don't want them to be checked 3 times within one day. If they've not connected to me today, then they may connect to me overnight or whatever. And so therefore, I want to leave that for a day. And so I've added something down here called let's see, and I've added a 1-day wait time, and then they'll get changed back to pending again. Very simple. This just means they're not getting pulled through so many times and reduces the amount of times they're being added to this system. Then for the return not checked, I have got a delete record in here. This is because for whatever reason, there's a bit of a buggy API going on here, and it adds blank records to the table. So this means that a lot of the time you'll end up with records which have nothing in them. And this can cause issues further down the line. It can cause lots of errors. So I've just decided to add a delete record here, and so therefore it will delete them if they're not a person. Again, I've been manually adding all my leads to these lists. So therefore I know they are a person, and I know they've got a field. And so therefore they won't get deleted unless there's something completely wrong yet. This is all the same. And then what I've got next to automate it completely is, because I know that I want to connect to all of these people. It's not like a guessing game, like I know for a fact. I've automated that as well. And so here I've got like a return or not connected. I've then got just a little random number here, which is what Simon made. And then I've got it to make a send request. And so you can see here in here it's already got a load of send requests that are probably going to be sent out today. And so that saved me having to manually go through and manually add send requests, because I don't want to have to do that. I want it to just be done automatically because I know I want to connect with these people. I've already understood these are people I can potentially work with. Once it's done through the send request, this is everything the same. The only thing I've added here is already invited. It was pulling up an error quite often, and I realized it was because obviously sometimes when you pull a list, you may add in people that you've already invited like a year ago, 2 years ago. It happens. And so therefore, I just changed already invited, they just get thrown into pending. And then they'll probably get pulled up here and then they'll probably get shown as not connected, which is also fine, which means they've ignored the request. Then everything else is the same on these two lines. The only updates we have now is one, I have created 2 message sequences. Within these message sequences, we've got a delay, the first delay, and then we've got a wait of 2 days, because if someone connects with me, I don't want to message them immediately. It just doesn't look good. You want to be behaving in some kind of humane manner. And so I've delayed this by 2 days. You could probably set up a random in this as well. It seems to already be pretty random because of this timer going up here, so I won't worry about it. Then we'll go through, and once it's got their ID, it'll then create a message, and then it will update them to first. And then it will do the same thing down here. It will pull the first ones, it will update them to second, and then wait, and then go through, and then it will update them to second. So this is when they've got the second message, and then that's it. I'm not going to send them more than 2 messages after the connection request. Otherwise, it's just spammy. And if someone doesn't reply after 2 messages, there's pretty low chance they're going to reply. Now, you may be wondering why I've added these delays in here, and it's simply because without them, it will keep on pulling. If you don't update this to delay, it will pull through 3 times, because obviously I've set this to go 3 times a day. It will pull through 3 times all the people that I've connected with, and then throw them through here. And it will throw them into the wait, and then it will then it will actually send them 3 messages at random times, like one at 9 o'clock, one at 12 o'clock, and one at 3 o'clock, for example, which again is not great. I've experienced this and I had to go through and delete some messages. It's a little embarrassing, but it's what it is. It's for the sake of experimentation. It's fine if a few people, I guess, send some things accidentally, and it's on my profile, so it's fine. Then, again, same on the second message. You want to update this so that, again, it's not being pulled through 3 times, and then it just gets sent through, and that's it. As you'll see here, I've got these messages set up here, and what I've done on the Airtable, that again, this is Simon's that I've just edited. I've got here the connection message, the first message, and the second message. And obviously this has just been put in as a formula, very straightforward. If you have no idea how to do this, you can just ask Perplexity to do this for you. You could probably just screenshot this now if you wanted and get it to recreate that. But then essentially, yeah, it's pulling all their first names so that I don't have to manually go in and edit that. You could do some magic here, and maybe this is the next step, and pull in personal information from their profile. You could look at their most recent post, you could look at an article they've written, you could look at anything that is relevant on their profile and pull that into the message. Like you could even send a message, hey, I really liked your post about X, Y, and Z, and get AI to create that for you. I haven't done that, mainly because the people I'm targeting may not be posting that often, and they may not use it in that social media, LinkedIn especially, in that kind of way. So I've kept it straightforward for now, but I may in the future update this to include some sort of AI messaging which links together their socials and so on. And then lastly, the chat ID. This will go on to the next one. Basically, I'm pulling through the chat ID now, and this is because I want to track replies. So here in the update first, I've got the chat ID being pulled in there, and same in the second. It'll be the same both times, so it doesn't really matter, but I'm just making sure I capture it on both occasions. You could probably capture it on this as well, but to be honest, if they reply after that message, the invite message, I'll most likely see it. but if not, it'll be captured here anyway, and then I'll see the reply anyway. And the reason I'm capturing the replies is, one, because I want them to go into a hot lead list, and two, because I may miss them. Over the years, working on LinkedIn, if anyone has used it, you'll realize that the LinkedIn inbox is a nightmare with how many messages are going in and out all the time, and it's very easy to miss them. And this is frustrating. We don't want to miss messages from people. I've lost business from not replying to messages, and I've seen them a year later when someone's messaged me, been like, hey, I'd like to work with you. And I've missed it completely. So this is to avoid that. This is to make sure that all messages are captured. And so we're pulling through the chat ID. Okay. So that's the first one. What I've then done from that, I've then expanded upon it in all of these other workflows, and I'm going to take you through them and how they all work together to automate my entire LinkedIn process. And so here, this is the check replies one. And so I've set this to go off at 1 time a day. It doesn't need to be checking my replies more often than that. We'll be pulling the Unipile ID. It'll be pulling all the messages. Actually, I've set this to go through first message, second message, and delay. So I can put this for pull chat IDs. Because basically I just want to pull through everyone that's got a chat ID. Probably something I could do for that to make it better. Then I've got it if there is a chat ID in there, because if for whatever reason it hasn't pulled through the chat ID, I don't want them coming into the system. So then it will just check. It will then get all the messages from all of these chat IDs. So it utilizes the chat ID. And this is obviously with Unipile. Unipile has a very interesting Unipile documentation. It's pretty straightforward. You can go through and do everything in here. API reference. There we are. And so you can get all the messages, users. Messaging. Here we are. So you can list all the chats, or you can list all the messages, or you can get messages from specific IDs. So I prefer to get it from the ID because I don't want to get all the replies. I don't want to get every message that's sent to me. I just want to get the people that are replying to the messages that I'm sending out. So very specific people. You then need to split all the messages out because otherwise they're all in one item. So you can see here, look, it goes from 55 items to 146. Once all those items are checked, I want to check if I am and the sender. And so here, the sender is 1 if it's me, and 0 if it's them. And so here we can see that 115 people haven't replied to me. I've got 31 messages that have replied to me. Pretty standard. Maybe yours will be better or worse. Probably better. Then we've got if in-mail, because again, I don't want to be, anyone who's sending me an in-mail, I don't want to be putting that into my system. So I'll just avoid that. It shouldn't happen, mainly because I'm getting the IDs. And so I'm tracking messages that only I'm sending out. So this shouldn't happen, but just in case. Then there's a little bit of fancy code, which again, I got Perplexity to generate for me with Claude. And this is just to check or add who is the sender. Okay. Because basically what happens is all of these 31 people or 31 messages could be from 9 people. And I don't want to be pulling through all the information of these 9 people 31 times, because again, that would just be weird. Like it'd be like me looking at your refreshing your profile 6 times each or whatever, 3 times each. So to avoid that, I have written a code node, which then combines them back together again in a nice way. I tried doing a merge thing, but it didn't really work. So again, I just created a code node for that. Let's just call this group people. This is why it's important to name your things so you know what they are. And then I had to pull the Unipile ID again because for whatever reason, it wasn't coming through all the way from back there. Here's what it is. And then lastly here, we're getting their identification. So this is the same node that's in here, the get provider ID. So we're just getting that information again. And this is so that we can pull through who they are into a different list. Because the thing is, you'll see in here is we've got all this information We've got all the chat IDs, and we could use this here. Like down here, we could see if it would get those people. But ultimately, I want to make sure that I'm getting the right people to be pulling into my lead list. And so here, I've got the lead list replies, and I'm matching them using the chat ID. And then I'm pulling through all the other information again. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to have all of their information in a separate list because it's easier for me to look at. And I want to utilize it in a different way. Perhaps I want to engage with them. Perhaps I want to do some other checks. But essentially, I want them in a different list. And again, it's updating this one as well. So we got two. It's updating the lead list to make sure that they are being, all the other information is being added. So emails, for example. And then this is then putting them into the hot lead list. And so you can see here, where is it? Lead list replies. This is just one I did the other day. And so here you can see these are all the people that have replied to my messages that I've been sending out. And so that I can make sure I'm keeping on top of them. Perhaps I need to send them another message. Perhaps I need to engage on their content. One way or another, these are people who replied and therefore are active on LinkedIn. And therefore they are people that are more likely to purchase my content or purchase my services. And so I'm going to keep track of them. Really important. And so this is the LinkedIn check replies. Let me know if you have any questions on that. From there, if you're sending out messages and if you're checking replies, you also want to engage with the people that you are, let's say, reaching out to. Because it's a bit weird if you just are purely sending a message, there's a low chance they're going to connect with you. And so you want to be engaging them in some kind of way. And this is where this system comes in. Alrighty, so this is the sales engagement workflow. And this is essentially taking what we have here and then engaging on these people. And so you can see here, I have lead lists engage. And what this is doing is it's pulling through all the people on here that I've sent a message, and then it's engaging with them. Like it's sending a like, it's doing a comment, it's doing it all automatically. This has taken a lot of testing, and I'll be honest, it still requires some of it, but it is for the most part working. It's getting people to reply to me and send me messages, which is what I intended it to do. So it's starting conversations. It's saving me a lot of time. So the way it works is, again, similar start to what Simon's have. It does the job. We've then got here people to engage on. And we've broken this down into two steps. First, it's got the people who are complete. So these are people who have been engaged on already. It's then going to throw them through to the engagement I want them to be engaged on now. It's going to do 10 per time slot. I used to have this running every day, but I realized that was a terrible decision. It's much better to pick times which are aligning to, one, when you are potentially online, so when you've done some content, but two, when you're around to check replies and just be active at the same time. So this can happen in the background while you're just there doing work on your laptop. And in case something goes wrong, goes rogue, and you can see, I'll explain how that could potentially happen later. So then it's going to return all the people that have, so here we are, look, we're returning complete from the lead list engaged, and then it's turning them back to engage again. Now you better like, how do they get into that list? So this is pulling everyone who is connected / pending. So people who I've sent an invite to, and I want to engage on their content. And then it's going to move them to the engage list. And it's important to move them to a separate list simply because otherwise it gets too confusing with the lead list and then this one with the amount of different options you need to be pulling through. So it's better just to have them on a separate list. I'll probably work out a way to remove them off the list after a certain amount of time because it would just make no sense to have them continuously there. Then we have the main part, which is the engagement aspect. So we're going to return the engage. But then again, we're going to pull for a random amount of people. This is the same thing. We've got the user ID here. We're going to get the provider ID. One thing which is new here is we're going to get the posts. So again, from Unipile up here, we're then going to retrieve all the posts from people. So it has posts down here. You're going to retrieve a post, and you can set this up how you want to. It's entirely up to you how you do that. Here we are. And I've got it set up to pull maximum of 2 posts. I might change this to 1, to be honest. So it'll get the most recent. Is a company, false, account ID. And again, setting this up so it only pulls them for every 3 seconds, so that it looks like a human that is just skimming through people's posts or going through different people's profiles and then looking at their posts. That's how you want it to do. You don't want it to be doing this too quickly. Then we're checking if it's a repost. So it shows you in here if it's a repost, and therefore it will not put it through. We're then going to get the comments. And the reason we're going to get the comments is we want to check if we've already commented on it. If we don't check that, it will obviously engage and comment on it again. And so because I'm doing a comment on all these posts, you could obviously do this for reactions as well if you wanted to, but I'm just checking if it's commented, because if I haven't, maybe I want to. And then if it hasn't commented, we're going to get it too. I was going to say, I've also got an if date node in here, which is what I just pulled over. This is if you would like to make sure that people are not engaging, you're not engaging on content which is over a certain number of days or weeks or whatever. I've got it set to 3 days, for example. You might want to set it to 1 week. Again, it's up to you how close to the time that you want to, after someone sent a post, that you want to engage on their content, and how often you're engaging on people's content on a daily basis. So maybe you'll set that to 1. Then we're checking the comments. And again, we've got a code node here for this. And what it's doing is checking the comments. I got Perplexity to write this for me for my name and my ID. So these are obviously being pulled through in the comments. It will show, it pulls through your name and it pulls through your ID. And I want to make sure it's looking out for that. And then it will put through if I've commented. And so you can see here, user commented, the code node will display that. And therefore if I've commented, they will then go to delay, and then they'll be delayed. Again, this is important to do, and they'll be set to first delay. If not, they then go into the AI agent. Now, the AI agent is essentially the commenting making tool. For this, I am using Claude Sonnet 4. I've tested Gemini, I've tested ChatGPT. This is the one that seems to work best for me. Probably depending on your content, different ones will work better. So feel free to experiment with this. And you can see here, I basically just got on quite a sizable prompt going on, which is basically about me, pretty much. And then at the bottom here, I've got on the post content. And I've also set it so that it keeps the comments below 15 words. It's up to you how you want to do this. I think I changed this to 10 words actually, because you don't want it pulling out. It will pull out essays. If you do this without limiting the amount of words, it will create essays for the comments, which is just, you don't want that. And it uses a lot of tokens and it's just silly. No one's commenting on a post with essays. Doesn't happen. Once it's done that, it will then comment on the post. Again, you can find this in here, and you get this here, comment on a post. So again, you can fill this all out. It's pretty straightforward. Get these filled in, subdomain and so on. And you'll connect this all through, and you'll put the text down here. So the output, so this would be the output. And again, you want to slow this down. I've set this to happen every 20 seconds. And I may even slow this down even more, because if I think about my own speed replying, going through a list of people that I've predefined and then sending them a message, sending them a comment, it probably takes anywhere between 30 seconds to 1 minute, depending on the size of the post and if I'm actually reading it properly. And some of them will read properly if I really want to make sure I get their attention. And so, yeah, then it'll go through and it will engage on the content. It's the word, add a reaction to a post. So here we are, it will add a reaction to the post. Pretty straightforward. You can also do this as an organization as well, which is pretty nice. You could set that up as an automated thing to set it up so your company is engaging on people's content. I don't see why not. And then again, it'll add the delay. Now, what we're doing with this delay is we're making sure, again, that all these people aren't being pulled through too many times. It just would be silly if they were. So then it gets updated to first delay, then they get pulled through straight away to second delay, then they get the wait. And the reason we do this is, again, because we don't want them multiple times in a day to be thrown into this, and then they'll come out this back end twice. So you need to add this second step. And here I've got it set to wait 3 days, because if I've already engaged on someone's content, the minimum amount of time that I want to wait, as in I don't want to engage on their content again for at least 3 days. It's too much. And you could even set it up less. And then they'll be returned complete, and it will go through the entire system again. So this is set for me to work on a Tuesday and Thursday every single week. One at 5:30 and one at 6:30. I've got to set times, and this is just ideally for me when I'm most likely going to be around and going to be doing things on LinkedIn. The reason that's important is because sometimes, for whatever reason, there have been issues. For example, if it can't find the post for whatever reason, like I did some amendments and change some things around here in the middle. Like I added all of these steps basically. And that meant that it wasn't pulling through the right content. And this meant that it was putting comments on people's posts which were not good. And this is obviously very bad. I had to go through and delete a lot of comments. It was very embarrassing for me. And I actually had one person even message me about it, and who was unfortunately offended. And they didn't say anything bad. It just said that it was just saying, can you provide context to this post so that I can create a comment for it? It was commenting that, which is, obviously not good. Anyway, that is the engagement aspect for the sales one. So this entire sales thing, we've got the lead list, you've got the lead engage, you've then got the replies, and this is the setup to run automatically. So it means your entire outbound system is automated and you can focus on other things. Obviously, there are tweaks you'll be making to this, like the messages, for example. You will be going through and amending and changing these messages probably on a bi-weekly basis, I would say, to begin with. Right now, for example, the first connection message, this seems to be working really well. I'm getting a lot of people connecting with me. The first message, I'm getting a few replies to, so this is all good. The second message, I haven't really had that many people who've had it yet, so it's in early days, as it were. To be seen. I've had a few phone calls already set up from it, so I know the system is working, and that's after about 2 weeks of it running, which is incredible considering it's still got some improvements to make here or there. Then the last two aspects of this is we're getting the reactions for your own content. And you could do this for anyone's content, but here we have get engagement. Now, what I have also is I have a separate engagement workflow. It's incredibly similar to this one. You'll see this is almost identical. It's just a little bit more spread out. And that's because I did some other things with it. But yeah, you can see it's essentially the same thing. I have got the date one in here. And this is because this is for people that I know I want to engage on a weekly basis. So that when you're doing content, when you're posting content, there are certain people that you want to be engaging with when you do a post. And this is so that they reciprocate your engagement and either send a comment, do whatever on your post. And so it just gives it that little boost that it needs when it's going out there. And yeah, very straightforward. It's exactly the same setup. It's just I've got a list of people, like 100 people that I know I want to engage with on a weekly basis. This actually comes from my hot lead list. So all the people that reply to my messages, all these replies, they will probably end up in the engagement list at some point. Once I notice that they engage with my content more regularly, I'll be like, they can go in the regular engagement list and I'll add them to it. So that's whatever that is. Then for your content, you obviously want to be checking who is engaging with it. Now, Simon did actually do a little bit of this with Apify, but obviously Apify you have to pay a small amount of money for, and to be honest, Unipile does it fine. It does it up to 100 people. So here we have, you can retrieve a post, and you can retrieve all the reactions from it, and you can list all the comments from it as well. So list all comments and list all reactions. So this can go up to 100 people for reactions, comments, again, 100 people. So unless you're doing viral posts, which are getting more than 100 engagements, which on LinkedIn, by the way, is very difficult. There are a few people, obviously, you'll see them that get like hundreds or thousands of engagements on every single post. But for the most part, most people are sticking around the 20s, the 50 mark. People are very rare. And then occasionally they'll get a post that gets more than. It's just how it is. So for the ones that go above 100, if you're working with someone that's regularly getting above 100 engagements on their post, then Apify is probably the better route for it because it does it all in one go. But if they're below that, this does a job, and it's included in the Unipile subscription, which is why I'm using it. So here we've got the Unipile, same start. We're going to get the profile ID. The benefit of using this is you don't have to get the individual post link. You can just get the person that you want to get the post from. So in this case, look, I've just got myself, but you could get anyone's engagement if you really want to. If you think, oh, the people who are engaging on that person's post, they're probably ideal clients for me. More than likely, there probably will be someone out there like that for you. You can go in and get their engagement. You could scrape that. And then you could probably even send them a message saying, hey, I saw you engaged on X, Y, and Z post. I really liked it as well. Looking forward to getting to know you. This is a warm way of introducing yourself by saying you've already got a similarity in someone. That's actually from a book called Click, Interpersonal Connection. Similarities being one of the, I think it's 5 or 7 things that allow you to do that. This is then getting the user ID, same again. Get provider ID, same again. As Simon's one, get posts, same as what we've got on the engagement one here. So get posts, same again. We're then going to split them out because we want to split out all the posts, because essentially it will, if you're just doing one post, for example, it's not an issue. But if you've got multiple posts that you're pulling, I've set it to 2, for example, like I'm always happy for it to pull the last 2 in case there was new engagements on them over time. But if you only do this for 1, you probably won't need to split out. It's up to you. And then we're going to get comments, and then we're going to get reactions. So 2 separate nodes for this. And then we're going to further split them out. And the get comments, by the way, is the same as the one that was on here. So get comments, same as one there. Get reactions. I did actually use this on here as well. It's over here. You can see it's over here. But I decided not to. And anyway, yeah, you can get reactions. Same thing. You can see here, list all reactions from a post. So you can fill this out with all the information you need. It's pretty straightforward. And then we can split those out so that because it will pull them through in one item, and obviously we don't want that, like we want to see them all. And then it will give all the engagement that we've gotten from, let's say, the last few posts. So this did the last 2 posts for me. I pinned this there because I wanted to play around with it more. And then here it is there for the comments as well. So reactions is normally always, for the most part, going to be higher than the comments. It's pretty standard. And then you probably could merge these if you wanted to, but this is also fine. It's up to you how you want to do this. Anyway, it's then going to update them, and it's then going to pull them into a reaction list. Now, the reason I've kept this separate is because you may want to, perhaps you want to pull them into the same list or update the same list and be like, oh, they've reacted on my content. But transparently, people who are reacting on your content may be different from the people that you are sending a message to. And they may also be different to the people that you're engaging with. And so I feel it's beneficial to have a separate list for the people that you're reacting to, that are reacting to your content, and then set up another workflow to connect with them. So you'd set up like another lead thing, set up another one of these, and it would be like, send connections to engagement, send the connections to reactions, send connections to comments, whatever you want to call it. This will pull them into the get reaction list. So here we can see the reaction list, and it's filled them out here. And it's basically the same thing. And I've also added in the comment thing in there as well. The reason I've done that is because with the get reactions and get comments and provider ID, it doesn't give you their LinkedIn URL. Wait, that's a lie. The LinkedIn URL is there. No, that's it. They both give it in different ways. So you can see here, look, this gives you the LinkedIn URL in this one. And then in this one, in the get comments, here we are, it doesn't. So in reactions, it's giving you this ID. And so you've got this, and it's giving you this profile URL. It's giving you the weird one. And then in this one, it's giving you a personal one, the one that you've created yourself. And so I decided that I do want to obviously get their LinkedIn profile URL. I want that pulled through, but I need to make sure that they're going to be tracked on something. And so I decided to add into the comments their ID. And then this will make sure that, here we are, I've got it, the ID is there as well. Putting through the ID on both. And then this will make sure that they are being matched both times and they're not being duplicated. So here it will just match it on that unique string of numbers. And obviously this is unique to each person. So it's pretty much the same as utilizing the record ID. And then you'll be able to see here, if they have commented, obviously I commented on my own post, yay me, it will change them to their personalized one. And if they haven't commented, it will just put their standard URL and their unique URL. And yeah, that is my entire LinkedIn automation with a little bit of AI in there, a little bit of AI agents, but it pretty much allows you could set this up obviously to run automatically. And I would probably just put in a couple of these so that it would trigger once or twice a week, depending on how, like probably the day after you post. If you're posting on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example, you would set it up to go on like a Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, for example. So it had like a day to then check, or you could do it so like at the end, it just does it like 2 days after. Up to you how you want to run this. You could set it up so that it's always doing free posts, for example, so that it would always scrape free posts. And that way, anyone who's engaging on your content, like 3 days later, it will make sure it scrapes those. But yeah, this is how it is so far. There are still improvements probably to come, probably especially in the commenting side of things and the engagement aspects. But otherwise, this is the entire system I made, and so far it's doing well. Obviously, it was with the help of Simon at the start with his one that he made on his platform, his channel, but everything else is based upon how I've utilized LinkedIn over the years and just automating the entire aspect of it so that I can focus my energies on actually just doing more with my clients and allowing them to be successful from a content perspective rather than focusing on the outbound and engagement perspectives. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to learn more. If you have any improvements, just feel free to throw them in the comments. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. Thank you.